I didn't want to go.
Come on, you need to see more of the country.
Encouraged my brother, Sam, who didn't bother to glance away from the road. We barely saw any cars during this long stretch of highway in the middle of the country. Not the longest, but far enough. Apparently it was close to Broken Hill. We were well past the mountains and out where the earth has a rich yellow-red color. He was the designated driver while I was passenger princess. I sat with my elbow resting on the arm of the window, with it open just a crack. Enough to let some cool air in while we drove in the midday sun. Since it was summer, I was coated in a thick layer of sweat, fanning myself with the brochures to try to keep cool. It was the holidays, and I wished I was anywhere but here. He was a history buff who loved learning about Australian history and seeing all the sights. He tapped the steering wheel excitedly and smacked my hand away when I tried to turn on the radio.
Come on, Silverton isn't so bad. You can take pictures at the Mad Max Museum for your gram.
He had a point. Still, I wasn't gonna let him win. When will we pull over? I'm so bored.
Look out the window. Do you know how vast this country is? All the unique wildlife and places.
He grinned, knowing it was irritating me.
Besides, this is God's country.
Well, I plugged my phone in to keep a semblance of connection to the outside world. Happy he didn't deny me this one piece of pleasure. Tapping the screen. The internet reception was poor, and it kept going slow. Anytime I got a signal, it would drop out, or messages wouldn't send through. I growled, resisting at the last minute to throw my phone.
Hey, there's ghosts in the town and places to do your TikTok or gram stuff, whatever the hell you do. We're gonna do a ghost tour when we're there.
I purposely ignored his dig at social media. Yeah, but that doesn't mean we'll see anything. He didn't answer. What's the bet we'll find a serial killer?
You worry too much. You talk to too many weirdos on the internet. Besides, getting away from it all will do you good.
The town was one of those old mining towns that are scattered across the country from the old gold rush days. Movies were apparently filmed here, but that didn't mean I wanted to see it personally. There were about 50 people living there, with quirky artists finding themselves a home, so I doubted it would be exciting. It was probably a bunch of oldies who didn't want to let go of their old childhood home. The sunlight blared through the window. I sat watching the road go by, and I wanted to drift off to sleep. Instead, I sulked. All my friends were off partying in Melbourne, while I was stuck here. There were random feral donkeys walking through the town. There was a bakery with an old church and some houses that were in disrepair. We pulled into the car park of a colonial-style pub with only one level. The sign had been repainted recently, the name in white paint, and there were barrels and tables and chairs out front. There were people hanging around outside drinking their beers. 2 men with long, bushy beards, wearing singlets or wife-beaters and work shorts. My brother waved at them while we walked in. They were probably surprised to get tourists out of the tourist season. "Can we go soon?" I whispered under my breath at him, grabbing his arm.
No, we're staying here. Don't be rude.
There was a bar with 5 beer taps with familiar brands like Tui's, VB, Carton, and others that I don't drink, and the faint sound of the pokies, or slot, machines in the background. It was deserted, except for old mate who sat at the far right corner of the bar, with a VB long neck in hand, completely dead to the world. Together we sat in the middle of the bar. I flopped on it, resting my arms on the surface and wincing. It was sticky. There were horse races on old, thick televisions from the early 2000s that were blurry, and no one was watching them. Wrinkling my nose, putting them on my lap, and waited for service. We stood out. Definitely people from out of town, and certainly not locals. How did a place like this stay in business? 5 minutes and still, no one bothered to come and serve us. Impatiently, I looked around with a bitter frown to receive a nudge.
Hey, people do things more slowly out here. Relax. Take it in.
I waved away a pesky fly that wouldn't leave and checked my phone. No reception. They could at least send someone out to serve us, I muttered, folding my arms and resting my head on top of the counter. A gruff man walked in from the back holding a dish rag and seemed surprised to have customers who weren't regulars, or perhaps the usual tourist types. Picking up a schooner, he grunted a hello.
Tooey's new for me, and a lemonade for her. Is there anywhere to eat around here?
The barman handed him a small menu, and I certainly didn't trust their seafood section, figuring most of it was frozen. I didn't bother to look. He brought us our drinks. The feel of the chilled glass against my hand was utter bliss.
2 meat pies, with tomato sauce.
I groaned, already sick of the fast food we've been eating on the road trip. The Aussie classic was the last thing I wanted. Sam ignored me, taking a swig of his beer and taking the place in. So, where are we going to stay? Sam ignored me, picking up 5 toothpicks and snapping them to different lengths. Evening them up, he offered them to me and waited for me to take one.
Okay, one's for the cemetery, one is for the Monday lookout, one for a gallery, one is for the Mad Max Museum, and one is for the mine.
I noticed he didn't answer my question. Exhaling slowly, my hand hovered over them indecisively, unaware I was deciding our fate by this decision. Finally, I picked one, and he grinned.
The cemetery it is. Shame. I still want to check out those other places, but we can do that on the following days.
Grumbling to myself, I took a sip of my now watery lemonade and looked at the coaster with the murky branding. Admittedly, it wasn't as bad as I thought, but I didn't want to admit it to him. How long are we going to stay here?
Couple of days. Why?
I groaned. Let me guess. We're going to sleep in the car. He looked at me without missing a beat.
Nah. We're going to camp out in the bush. The tent is in the back.
While staring at him, I noticed 2 of the locals coming in and whispering to each other, panic clear in their voices, and they hushed when they noticed us. Sam lifted his hand to give a friendly wave. The pair gave us a nod. Then they went back outside to talk privately. The bush? Are you fucking kidding me? I hissed at him. Sam laughed.
They have rooms here. I pre-booked online.
I must have given him a look.
I checked them out. They look nice.
I didn't know whether to scream or jump for joy. After showing me the late lunch menu, we ate a surprisingly nice meal with huge portions. A burger with salad and chips, and decided to go to our separate rooms. We walked to the 2 rooms, number 5 and 6. After opening the door, my fears of old-style or unkempt rooms now redundant, placing my bag on the bed and went to freshen up. After a nap, my stomach grumbled and I opened the door. So far, as far as I could tell, my brother and I were the only people staying there. There were lights and sound in the outdoor area of locals having a feed. Knocking on my brother's door, waited a bit, and knocked again with no reply. It was still warm out, but with a refreshing cool breeze. I was in a better mood than I had been previously. With my phone now charged in hand, I walked to the driveway and took a photo of the quiet road, where there was decent internet reception, checked it, and gazed up at the sky. The stars were bright out here, clear without clouds obscuring them, or the smog seen around busy cities. Sam was right about this,
Ready to set out?
he said, with a town map in hand. Yeah, do you think we'll see anything? Opening the car door, which had thankfully cooled down and sat down, while we drove to the town outskirts, which, admittedly, wasn't far. We drove toward the cemetery. It was huge, much larger than I expected. Several acres at least. Many of the graves had fences around them to stop animals stepping on them. I wondered just how many people were buried here, and either the gravestones had been claimed by the elements, or they never had one to begin with. The openness of the land was in stark contrast to a chain-link fence in the distance. Squinting and pointing. Hey, Sam, do you know what that is?
No, careful. If we find any abandoned mines, we're not going in. Too dangerous.
Oh, are you scared?
Alright, you can go in if you want.
He chuckled. We walked past the patches of grass in the hopes of avoiding any snakes. Finally, we reached the fence and noticed it looked relatively new. Clean and shiny, with no rust. Sam put the flashlight in his mouth, opening up the map, and ran a finger over the paper while he tried to determine where we were.
Huh.
What?
It isn't on the map.
Weird. That only made us more intrigued. We walked along it, trying to find an opening or the gate to allow us entry. What we did find was a hazard sign. It had a jagged edge, while the metal was warped and twisted. It said, "Warn Area Con, Hazard Contain." While the full writing wasn't there, it was a clear indicator we weren't in a safe spot to be. Sam shone the light inside the area, moving it around to see if there were any open buildings, barrels, or anything that could be the source of the hazard. Can you see anything? Can we go inside? I asked. My fingers clung to the metal fence.
No, I don't think that's a good idea. I wonder if some shitty company decided to dump toxic waste or some other bullshit out here.
He pondered, and neither of us had brought any equipment to check. I took photos and quick videos using my phone, and from what I saw, this place hadn't been posted online. We were the first ones here.
Alright, we'll climb over. Just be quick, and be careful.
Sam said, the metal fence jingling while he climbed over it. Fortunately, it wasn't very tall, nor barbed at the top. I was about to pocket my phone when I noticed the screen was glitching, froze, and I tapped the screen. After a few moments, it came back, then stopped. Then the glitching renewed.
Are you coming or not?
Yeah, my phone won't work. He sighed, pulling down the fence to make it easier for me to enter. Putting my phone away, I groaned while I climbed up and grunted when I fell on the other side. Exhaling and looking around, most of it was empty, so I assumed whatever it was happened to be underground. Maybe it was buried.
Careful. I can't see anywhere. We're not going to be out here too long.
Sam warned. The flashlight's beam moved slowly from one side to another, until it rested on an old structure. He grabbed my arm when I took a step in the direction.
Careful.
I took my phone out and still, it was glitching out and wouldn't maintain a connection. My background image was of myself and my friends all posing while we were on a night out. What the? I nearly dropped it when I saw a flash of a strange face looking back at me. Maybe there were some weird fumes out here playing with my head. It flickered in and out and there were a blur of voices. Until there was a strange broadcast coming through. Evacuate immediately. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. It was loud. Given the silence of night and the emptiness, The words echoed, not matching the peace and serenity of the open space. The words cut the air, and I felt my head shrink into my shoulders. A fear that I couldn't describe. Sam's eyes were wide, and he too had shrunk down. It repeated once before. I tried turning it off completely. After a moment of difficulty, it finally turned off.
It sounds like it's on a loop.
There haven't been any big accidents here in the past, right? Sam nodded. A deep cracking sound rumbled under the earth. The light shone on one of the glowing cracks, and a long, inhuman hand reached out from down below when the rumblings grew louder.
Quick, climb over.
He urged, waiting to ensure I was climbing up and over first. The cracking sound was growing louder, and I kept glancing back.
Don't look, just go.
Sam yelled. Once I was done, I waited for him, and he followed me. The ground ruptured loudly, and soon the strange broadcast came back, in and out, blending together, and finally it sizzled out. Running through the cemetery across the graves felt wrong, but survival came first. We saw the car in the distance and made it, opening the doors, getting in, and started the drive back to town. What the fuck was that?
I don't know.
Sam answered breathlessly. His carefree demeanor had certainly changed. He was tense, looking in the rearview mirror in case car lights would suddenly appear. It wasn't long until we reached the town itself that it was quiet. Parking at the hotel, we got out and I checked my phone. It turned back on with no issues, but the battery was at 1%. Okay, do you want to leave or early tomorrow morning? I asked, knowing he still wanted to see the sights around town. Sam shrugged, exhaled, and rested his body on the door of his room. He was pale and drained.
I don't know. We'll decide tomorrow.
Sam turned, unlocked his door, and held it open.
We'll decide tomorrow. I need to sleep.
He went inside and the door closed. I stared at it for a moment, unsure. I unlocked my own door to step inside. Still wary, I checked the ensuite to ensure no one was hiding in the shower. I glanced at the mirror at my reflection, and other than dark bags under my eyes and pink sunburn on my shoulders, I looked identical to how I did this morning. I felt uneasy, staring at my reflection, immediately glancing down to the sink, turning the lights off and walked back to my bed to charge my phone. Pacing around the room, I tried to think of what to do. A place with a hazard sign would clearly be off limits to civilians. What if there were cameras that spotted us? Were we going to be charged for trespassing? I didn't know what to do, other than showering and getting dressed for bed. Drying my hair with a towel in one hand and my phone in the other, I texted Sam. Hey, I'm going to sleep. Are you doing okay? There was no response, but I figured he was sleeping. My phone was charging as normal and there were no issues. Maybe there was some gas underneath that caused us to hallucinate? It had to be that. It explained why the locals didn't talk about it, and why there were no signs in case idiot tourists, like us, happened to go there. That had to be it. Right when I curled up to sleep, there was a gentle knock on the door. Hello, Sam? No one answered. Wincing, I wished I didn't call out and let whoever it was know I was in here. After another set of knocks, more insistent this time. Oh, fuck's sake. I groaned, getting out of bed, and peeked through the peephole to see Sam standing with a vacant look in his eyes. I unlocked the door when a familiar jingle from my phone. Sam's one. It was Sam's notification. It was cringy, but it was definitely his. Checking the peephole again, the vacant-eyed Sam didn't have a phone in his hand. Maybe it was stolen? The knock was louder this time. I grabbed my phone and looked.
All right. Good night. We'll go to the Mad Max Museum tomorrow.
I tapped away with my fingers on the screen and sent. Hey, Are you at my door?
What the fuck? No,
You're outside my door.
I'm not. Stay inside.
Prove it is you. He called and it was him sitting in bed, sleepy but okay, and let out a loud yawn.
It's me.
Leaning close, this time his voice hushed.
Stay inside. I'm going to call someone from reception.
I looked at the door and gazed through the peephole. The figure's appearance no longer resembled my brother. It was taller and stretched out. Its fingers were elongated, curling slightly, and it knocked again. I gasped. Its gaze went from the door handle to the peephole, turning its head, and peered through, right at me. The eyes were wider than normal. It opened its mouth, revealing all of its teeth falling to the ground, leaving bloodied gums. The ground around us rumbled, the same way it had at the cemetery, and I backed away from the door, running to the ensuite and hiding inside the shower. The knocking kept going, and the rumbles were loud. I was sure it would have cracked the concrete outside. 3 hard knocks followed by 2 softer ones. The knock Sam used. I didn't move.
Hey, it's me. Come out.
I crept forward, looked through the peephole, and saw him standing there with his phone in hand, ringing my number. It was dawn, and whoever that being was long gone. Opening the door, looking up and down the row, and found a pleasant morning breeze before the sun's heat became unbearable. Squinting at him, double-checking he was an old mate from last night. His eyes were too expressive, taking things in, and blinking, nor did he have the rigid stance the visitor had from last night. Hey, did you see anything? Looking down, I noticed a shallow crack in the pavement that wasn't there previously. Sam shook his head and didn't seem too bothered by what had occurred. Can we go soon? As in leave? Go back to Broken Hill and start the journey back home?
Soon. I know that scared us, but I think we're hallucinating. Gas or something.
Okay.
We already paid for a couple of days. May as well make the most of it.
He shrugged, heading in the direction of the bakery up the road. We helped ourselves to a cake and coffee before setting out to the Mad Max Museum. There was the famous car, the Interceptor out the front that I posed on. Oi, take some pickies for the gram. I shoved my phone in Sam's hands while he groaned, but he should have expected this. Patiently he waited while I posed, leaning on the car, turning my head to get all the best angles, and when I changed my position, I noticed the figure from last night, with their head poking out from behind a car down the road. This time all the physical traces of my brother were long gone. It still had the same large eyes, elongated body with legs and arms lengthy compared to its torso, and it was made out of shadow. My jaw dropped.
Hey, pay attention. You look ridiculous.
Sam taunted, then turned back to look in the same direction. He froze, but no one else noticed the figure. Some of the other tourists took a glance and figured we must have been joking. We stared at each other, wondering what we should do, and thus far, it hadn't threatened us other than watching us. I got off the car, still with my eyes lingering on whatever had awoken in the hazardous sight, and leaned close to him. Are there any legends of these in Aboriginal folklore? I whispered. He thought for a sec and shrugged, unsure.
Maybe it's a ghost or some kind of protective land spirit?
He suggested hopefully. Why would it be focused on us, rather than the large mining sites that were digging up the country? Walking back to our car, fanning ourselves, and hoping that if we didn't notice it, perhaps it would disappear. Is it bad that I want to go back to sea? I whispered, taking a mouthful of water to cool down.
Is it bad that I do too?
Sam grinned. The familial connection was strong. The drive back to the cemetery, this time during the day, was different. The visibility reduced the fear we experienced. With a hand blocking the intense sunlight from our eyes, we looked past all the graves and found where we had wandered off to. Hidden in the farthest corner, it may have been overlooked. We started the trek through the graveyard, taking care not to step on graves or damage anything. Other than a snake curled up taking in the sunlight, we didn't see any other living creatures. Looking around us, the space was mostly open, and I couldn't see any of the figures. I hoped that was a good sign. Perhaps it was foolish. We reached the fence line, walking down until we saw the sign, and took a photo of it as proof it exists. The burnt, damaged edge was rough, and almost rusted. I reached out to touch it, withdrew, and decided to go for it. Given it was in the sunlight, it wasn't warm to the touch, but ice cold. It was nearly pleasant on a hot day.
Don't keep touching it. Look at the ground. The cracks.
That happens everywhere it is super hot.
I wonder if there was an old burial site around here.
I gripped my stomach when a nauseous feeling hit me. We walked along the fence line until we saw a dip beneath the fence. Maybe a dog or dingo dug beneath. It was stupid.
Is your phone still working?
I checked. No reception, with my battery depleting quickly. Fortunately, there was no scary voice recording. If we were going to record whatever happened, we needed to be quick. Crawling on the ground while Sam pulled up the fence, allowing me to shuffle beneath on my stomach, and dragging through on the tips of my fingers. Groaning, I got to my feet and held the fence up so Sam could make his way through. It was official now. We were trespassing. We waited for any earth-shattering grumbles from down below. Checking my phone, it was drained to 10%. Together we walked to the mound with stray, rotten pieces of wood. There was an open tunnel that led down into the abyss. I kept thinking I could see eyes and the outline of many faces staring back at me. Some of the original custodians of the land, and others akin to the ones we saw.
Could have been a prospective mine. Sent someone over to check. Mustn't have thought it was worth their time.
He pointed to a rusty chain fence. With caution to the wind, he walked over and stared down into it. I didn't want to lose my chance, opening up the camera and recording. It flickered occasionally. So, this is where we were last night. Sam thinks it used to be an old mine that got abandoned, so the sign is up. I turned around the way we came back to the sign. Up there. Sam?
Yeah?
Find anything else?
No. I think I found something.
He reached down, picking up 2 items. One was a piece of a destroyed rock carving. The faint outline was difficult to make out, but it was there. Of a humanoid shape, coupled with larger humans, it had to be old. Ancient, even. In his right hand there were pieces of plastics, wrappers, and fragments of dynamite. Our gaze returned back to the earth, knowing a balance had been disturbed. The feeling of being watched returned. An uneasy feeling we were in the presence of something greater than we could ever understand. My phone started glitching once more. The earth trembled with increasing intensity beneath our feet, and the old cracks parted. Hands reached through. The static echoed loudly, and sure enough, we knew it was time to leave.
Quick, get out.
I dived on my stomach, ignoring the dirt on my clothes, while Sam lifted the fence up for me as I did the same for him. The grumble morphed into a deadly roar, the figures each rising, and he threw the old piece back over, returning it to where it belonged.
I'm sorry.
The roars died down, yet the grumble remained. A debt paid, yet the welcome was withdrawn. In silence, we drove back to the pub, packing up the car and handing the keys back into reception. We thanked the owners for the stay. Staying there wasn't as bad as I thought. While we drove away, I saw tall, humanoid figures staring at me, some well above the highest building and others shorter. They never stood directly out in the open, standing just behind a tree or a building. I couldn't tell if they were saying goodbye or warning us to stay away. Then there was the long road trip back to Broken Hill. We have no proof besides one photo of the fence that didn't glitch out or was warped. The hazard, the warning sign, and since Sam threw back the art, no physical proof either. It's sad, but maybe that was for a reason. Sometimes secrets are best kept quiet. Oh yeah, mate. Hello, I hope you enjoy this Aussie horror story, written by yours truly. I'd love to thank my amazing guest and fellow Aussie, Creepy Oz. If you haven't checked out this Aussie legend, please do so, especially if you want more Australia-themed stories. Unfortunately, he was also hit by the wave of demonetization affecting horror narrators. So if you are able, please consider signing up to his Patreon or Ko-Fi. What did you think of the story? Would you ever head out to Silverton or Broken Hill sometime? I can't say I've been, but I would love to go sometime. Please consider dropping me a comment, like or dislike. Stab that like button. Or subscribe if it is your first time here. I would like to thank my incredible channel members and Patreon supporters for supporting my work. If you would like to support my work, please consider becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter. Both get exclusive perks. Stay safe, my little spooklings. And remember, I'll be watching you.